Have you ever wondered about utilizing a business valuation calculator to find out how much your business is worth in today's markets? Well, today I'm going to talk about everything in between from finding out how much your business is worth, the process that goes behind valuing online business, and I'm going to talk about some real world examples, what is happening right now in the industries, and how much these businesses are actually selling for. Now, with my background, I've helped broker more than $120 million worth of online businesses and help create valuations for hundreds of thousands of online businesses. And today I'm going to share all of those details, all of those insights, and the exact step process to find out how much your business is worth by utilizing a business valuation calculator. And make sure you stick around to the end because I'm going to show you this free resource and free tool and how you can actually utilize it today for no additional cost. Now let's go ahead and start off right now with finding out how much your business is actually worth. Now, when we're discussing these business valuations, generally I'm going to be speaking about businesses that are going to be valued under $10 million. Once a business goes over $10 million, a lot of the core foundational steps about valuing a business changes. So there's going to be different elements, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard about these crazy billion-dollar. I'm sure a lot of you listening in have heard about these billion-dollar valuations for startups that have raised tons of capital. Again, we're not going to be really discussing those. We're going to be discussing how actual online businesses are valued today under the $10 million range. And let's go ahead and dig in right now. So I think one of the biggest problems in the space of valuing online businesses is because we see all these headlines about unicorn startups that are worth billions of dollars, but they're still not making a penny of profit. Now, this is absolutely crazy. And sometimes you can wonder why these businesses are being valued so much. And they're basically being valued on their potential for growth, their hyper speed growth, and a lot of intangibles that aren't going to be really how you value an online business under $10 million. So one of the key factors that are going to go into your valuation is how much profit are you making per month and what's the average monthly net profit you're making over a trailing 12-month period. If you can figure out this number, you're going to get such a more accurate valuation for your business. And again, if you don't have your numbers accurate, it's not going to give you a really accurate scope of how much your business is worth because you haven't figured out that key number. So that's the first key, is figuring out your monthly average net profit. And again, this is going to be how much money are you taking away after you deduct all of your expenses. So take your revenue, your overall net for the month, and deduct out any expenses. And one thing to consider is you don't necessarily need to make, if you're paying yourself a salary or if there's any additional expenses that a new buyer would not need to take into consideration once they bought this business, you wouldn't necessarily need to add that in. So a lot of business owners just put everything down as a business expense for tax purposes. A lot of these expenses a new owner wouldn't need to take over. Let's say you're taking trips as business expenses, you're going to conferences. If it's not essential to run the business, then again, you don't really need to include that. Once you have that number figured out, if you haven't utilized a bookkeeping service like Xero or QuickBooks or hired a bookkeeper, I highly recommend starting there, because once you have those key numbers, you're going to get your business in a lot better state to figure out how much it's actually worth. Focusing on the books, focusing on creating a profit and loss statement where every month you're going in there, deducting the revenue, the expenses, and figuring out how much money you are. It's going to make you a better entrepreneur to know these key figures in your business. And again, it's going to give you a much more accurate valuation. So if you haven't done that, make sure you go back after this video and get started on creating a simple P&L. It's one of those things that I've done for all my businesses, and it's really put things in perspective on where I'm at, what I need to do to grow my business. So that's the key number one most important number, is figuring out your 12-month average monthly net profit. And I won't stress that enough. Figure that number out, make sure it's as accurate as possible. And I talk to a lot of business owners that struggle with getting all these numbers together. And most of the time they think their business is worth a lot more because they haven't gotten their books organized. They haven't gotten these revenue, their expenses, and their profit and loss put together correctly. So make sure you do that, because it's going to make sure that you know exactly where you're at and you'll know exactly where you're at every step of the way for running and managing your own online business. The second most important thing when it comes to figuring out how much your online business is actually worth is figuring out what type of multiple is going to be used. And this multiple is going to range and vary based on a lot of different factors. And these factors can be for how old is your business. A 6-month-old business is going to be valued completely different than a 6-year-old business that's increasing in profit every year and every month. So that's something to consider is how old your business. Usually the older the business, the trends of financials, if they continue to go up, they're going to be valued at a much higher rate than a business that's only 6 months old. Normally you need at least 12 months of financial data to even talk to buyers about selling your business. So that's one thing to consider is how old your business is. And for those of you who don't understand what a multiple is essentially the number you utilize to take and multiply it times your monthly average net profit. You'll take that multiple. These multiples are ranging anywhere from 36 to 60. So anywhere from 3 years to 6 years and in between, depending on what type of business you have. Now, again, a few other examples of businesses that are going to get much higher multiples are these businesses that are older, but also if depending on what type of business you have. If you have a software business with monthly recurring revenue that's been established for 5 years, your churn rate is really low, and essentially it just keeps growing because you have that MRR. Those businesses are going to be extremely on the top end of the spectrum, and they're going to be valued much higher than a traditional type of e-commerce business. It's been around for 1 year. It's some type of normal product that you can buy on Alibaba or AliExpress. Those businesses are not going to be valued as much because it's not an actual brand. It doesn't have a moat. And again, you need to really put yourself in the buyer's shoes and figure out if they're going to be buying this business, they want extra protection. And essentially, the higher the multiple is, usually the lower the risk is for a person to acquire this business. So once you have these two numbers figured out, they're gonna really vary from, like I said, 36 on the low end, all the way up to 60 on the high end, and sometimes even higher depending on the type of business. Now let's just take a quick example here. Now, if we have a business that's generating $10,000 a month in average net profit, and that's the 12-month average, we'll go ahead and take that on the low end. That's going to be valued at $360,000. And on the high end, it's going to be valued at $600,000. And that's utilizing the $10,000 a month net profit and then multiplying that times 36. And then on the high end, multiplying it times 60. Now, those two multiples are very different. And again, like I mentioned earlier, it's going to be dependent on what type of business you have, a few other intangibles of how much room for growth is in this industry. Is it a fad? Is it some type of fad product or diet or some type of fad industry that a lot of buyers think is going to be going away? Or maybe it's already hit its growth potential and it's on the downward trend. So all of these factors are going to go into what the multiple is. And again, I like to say that multiples are a little subjective and they are always changing, and they'll really vary depending on who you talk to and what type of industry you're in. I'm going to show you how to use the Business Valuation Calculator that I built to find out how much your business is worth in 30 seconds. I take all the math out of it. Essentially, all you need to figure out is 3 different things. You're going to need the average monthly revenue, and you'll input that right here. Below that, you're going to need the average monthly expenses, how much money you're spending on the business. And then lastly, the age of your business. So how old is your business? How long has it been making money? If you started the business, or if you bought the domain 5 years ago, but you just started, actually running the business a year ago, it wouldn't count as being 5 years old. It would be 1 year old from when you started generating income or when you started actually running the business. So once you figure out all of that data, like I mentioned before, we'll just go ahead and use the example for a business that's generating, let's say, $40,000 in revenue, but it has monthly expenses of $30,000. And then we'll go ahead and on the high end, give it more than 12 months. And let's see what it comes out with. So This total valuation on the high end is going to be around $600,000 for a business that's only generating $10,000 a month in net profit. And again, there's going to be a button over here after you utilize this tool. If you're interested in selling your business or setting up a free exit planning session to discuss how I can get you more money in an exit, and I've helped sellers get more than $150,000 to $200,000 in the bank when they sold their business by utilizing these free exit planning sessions. And that's something I'm willing to do for all of those that made it this far. Make sure you go ahead and check out the free Business Valuation Calculator. I'll leave a link below in the description. And again, let me know how much your business is valued at if you feel like sharing that information. It'd be cool to connect and chat with other entrepreneurs in this community. And again, if your business is on a growth trend, you can use this for where your business is at now, where you want to see your business growing. And it's a really easy to use calculator. Again, a lot of other people try to overcomplicate this, but I've really tried to simplify the process. And if you're able to get an accurate picture of your monthly net profit, that's going to do wonders for figuring out the accuracy of your business valuation. And again, make sure you use this free tool. Don't hesitate to get in touch if you're interested in selling your business, even if it's 3, 6, or 12 months down the road. I'm looking to connect with other entrepreneurs like yourself that have online businesses and need some help with exiting. So thanks so much for making it this far. If you haven't yet subscribed, I'm putting out one new video every week, and I appreciate all of your support. Thank you.